The mood on the Love and Hip Hop set was far from normal that day. Crew members were in disarray, cameras were unsteady, and cast members stood stunned in shock. News spread rapidly. Law enforcement had arrived on location, and not just for maintaining order. What unfolded next caught everyone off guard. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were placed in cuffs and led away from the scene in front of the entire crew. Fans were stunned, insiders were murmuring, and now the reality behind the turmoil was beginning to surface. How did it reach this point? Insiders alleged a fierce, no-limits confrontation erupted between the two television personalities, one laced with long-held grudges, personal treachery, and years of friction finally coming to a head. As cameras captured it all, punches were thrown, harsh words exchanged, and the set descended into complete disorder. Authorities were said to be contacted once things turned aggressive, and neither Kirk nor Mendeecees relented. This wasn't just dramatic TV, it was a genuine crisis playing out in real time. Brace yourself, because the story behind their dramatic detainment is more intense than anyone anticipated. Stay tuned as we explore the clash, the collapse, and the revelations that brought it all down. The instant Kirk and Mendeecees were taken away in separate squad cars, a heavy stillness blanketed the Love and Hip Hop set. The once energetic production space, filled with sound, lights, and chatter, now resembled a crime scene. Producers were frozen in place, assistants whispered nervously, and castmates sat motionless, still coming to terms with what had unfolded. Crew hurried to determine if filming could proceed at all, while some just abandoned their work and quietly exited, visibly shaken. Rashida was spotted walking in circles trying to contact someone, perhaps a legal advisor or Kirk's representative, her hands trembling as she clutched her phone. "He didn't deserve this. They pushed him over the edge," she was heard murmuring. Yandy sat outside the building on a bench, her head lowered in her hands as friends tried to console her. She kept replaying the moment officers placed cuffs on Mendeecees. "I just need to know he's all right," she whispered. Inside the studio, one producer, clearly shaken, began making calls to the network. "We've got a major problem here. Leva has to be brought in immediately," he said into his headset. The network was reportedly outraged and demanded a complete report, while simultaneously scrambling to figure out if they could legally air any footage from the incident. Sources revealed that parts of the fight and arrest were captured on camera as the cameras were rolling during the chaos. However, just as production attempted to regroup, a new twist emerged. Word spread that a nearby civilian, passing by the studio, had filmed a part of the fight and the arrest on their phone. Within an hour, blurry, shaky clips surfaced on social media showing Kirk yelling and police putting him in cuffs, which quickly went viral. The video was shared, reposted, and analyzed across all platforms. "Kirk Frost gets arrested," one fan tweeted, while another wrote, "This season is going to be wild if they air this." Meanwhile, at the local police station, Kirk and Mendeecees were being booked. Both men were placed in holding cells, and their mugshots were taken, images that soon spread across the internet, fueling further buzz and backlash. Insiders at the station said that Kirk remained defiant, repeatedly asking why Mendeecees wasn't the only one arrested. "I was defending myself. Why am I here?" he allegedly shouted. Mendeecees, however, kept his composure but insisted on speaking to a lawyer. "I'm not saying anything without my attorney," he told the officers. Back on set, a meeting was quickly arranged with the remaining cast members. Producers wanted to ensure everyone's safety moving forward and attempted to salvage what was left of the season. Some cast members were too shaken to speak, while others privately admitted that the incident might boost the show's ratings. "People are going to tune in now like never before," one crew member reportedly said, but not everyone saw this as entertainment. Tammy, a stylist on the show, posted on her Instagram story, "This ain't TV, this is real life. Prayers for everyone involved." Her post was shared by fans, especially those who were beginning to express concern over the mental and emotional health of the cast. A few even started online petitions urging a delay in the release of the upcoming season to reconsider what kind of message they were sending. At the Frost household, Rashida returned home later that evening, visibly exhausted. She reportedly told friends she couldn't sleep, worried about the impact on their family's reputation. Kirk's teenage children had already seen the footage circulating online, and questions were being asked, "Is Dad going to jail?" one of them asked, according to someone close to the family. Rashida was doing her best to hold things together, But sources say she was furious that it had escalated this far and blamed production for not intervening sooner. Meanwhile, Yandandi returned home but didn't make a public statement. Her team issued a brief message saying, "Yandandi Smith Harris appreciates the support and is asking for privacy during this time." Privately, Yandandi was reportedly angry, not just at Kirk, but at the entire production team. They knew the tension was real and they let it build. She allegedly told a friend, "This isn't just drama for ratings. This is our real life." As night fell, fans kept refreshing their feeds for updates. Hashtags like Kirk Frost, Mendeecees, and Logan Hickle Paris started trending. Major entertainment blogs picked up the story, each with their own spin. One outlet claimed Kirk had totally snapped, while another hinted that the feud had been building for months. Conspiracy theories even began to swirl. Some fans believed the whole thing was staged for the cameras, while others insisted that the emotions were too raw to be fake. Then came another shock. One of the Love and Hip Hop executive producers spoke anonymously to a tabloid, saying that Kirk and Mendeecees had been warned just a week earlier to cool things down or risk suspension. "We saw this coming," the producer said, "but no one thought it would end in arrests." This revelation sparked even more backlash, with fans accusing the show of provoking the cast members for ratings and putting them in harm's way. At the precinct, Kirk was allowed one phone call, which he used to speak to Rashida. Their conversation was reportedly tense. Kirk was upset, not just about being arrested, but about the media frenzy erupting outside. "They're making me look like the villain," he said. Rashida, still emotional, responded, "This is a mess, Kirk. I don't know how we come back from this." Mendeecees, meanwhile, remained mostly silent. When his lawyer arrived, he was briefed on the charges: disturbing the peace and resisting detainment. While the charges weren't severe, the public nature of the arrest and the damage to his reputation were undeniable. This could affect everything: endorsements, future deals, even the next season, his lawyer warned him. By midnight, both men were released on bail, but not before signing a notice stating they were legally prohibited from engaging in further physical altercations while filming. The production team was also issued a warning by local authorities to maintain safety on set. As Kirk and Mendeecees walked out of the precinct, photographers swarmed them, shouting questions. Neither man responded. Kirk got into a waiting SUV with Rashida, while Mendeecees left in a separate car with his lawyer. The night may have ended, but the storm was far from over. Within hours, news outlets began releasing exclusive photos of the two men in cuffs, along with leaked footage showing fragments of the altercation. The story had taken on a life of its own, and fans couldn't look away. Just when people thought the chaos might settle down, a cryptic tweet from Mendeecees hit the timeline. "People are going to learn not to play with fire." The tweet was quickly deleted, but not before it was screenshot and shared everywhere, sparking even more questions. What did he mean? Who was he talking about? Kirk, the producers, someone else? What started as just another day on the Love and Hip Hop set had turned into one of the most talked about events in the show's history. Fans, cast members, and the production crew were now all left to deal with the aftermath of a day no one would ever forget. The tension on set barely simmered when things escalated again. And this time, it wasn't just shouting. After Kirk Frost stormed off the set, visibly shaken and clutching his arm from the earlier scuffle, Mendeecees stayed behind, still breathing heavily, pacing back and forth like a caged lion. Producers tried calming him down, but he kept muttering under his breath, "Nah, he ain't getting away with that. Not today." Cameras were rolling, but no one was thinking about the show anymore. This was real. The energy had shifted completely. And just when people thought it was over, Kirk returned, flanked by two crew members trying to hold him back. Say that about my family one more time," Kirk yelled, pointing a trembling finger at Mendeecees. Men turned, his eyes narrowing, and he threw his hands up. "You want to go again, huh? You really want to go there?" Rashida, who had been standing to the side with security, rushed forward shouting, "Stop it! Both of you, stop it right now! This isn't worth it!" But it was too late. Kirk lunged, and this time, fists flew. It wasn't a simple reality TV-style shoving match. This was a full-on street brawl unfolding on set. Crew members screamed. Some ran, others tried to intervene, but the two men were locked in a fierce exchange, each driven by pride, anger, and a long history of unresolved tensions. Chairs were knocked over, equipment crashed to the ground. A light rig was dropped, shattering and sparking. Chaos erupted. Then someone screamed, Call the police. They've lost it." Instantly, the atmosphere shifted from tense to terrifying. Extras scrambled to get out of the way. Makeup artists ducked behind their stations. And even the director, who typically thrived on high drama, looked genuinely panicked. Producers huddled together, whispering urgently about potential legal issues and the consequences of footage leaking. Meanwhile, Kirk landed a punch right on Mendeecees' jaw, causing him to stumble. But Mendeecees quickly retaliated, slamming Kirk into a nearby table that shattered under their combined weight. Security finally surged in, pulling the two men apart with full force. Kirk was restrained by 3 guards, still shouting and cursing, while Mendeecees, blood running down his face, was dragged in the opposite direction. "You think you're untouchable?" Kirk shouted. "You think you can come here and talk about my wife, my family, and get away with it?" Mendeecees, breathless but defiant, spat back. "You don't know what respect is. That's your problem." The war of words continued to echo across the set, while the crew stood in stunned silence. Rashida, crying, said, "I can't believe this is happening," clutching her phone. "This show is supposed to be about healing, about growth, not this." Someone handed her a towel and escorted her off set. Cameras had stopped rolling, but someone, possibly a crew member, had pulled out their phone and started recording. Within minutes, the clip was circulating in group chats. The cast group text exploded. Yandandi sent a string of question marks. Bambi asked if it was real. Safari dropped a shocked face emoji, and someone else warned, "The network ain't gonna like this." Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The police were coming fast. Everyone fell silent, watching the door. Then came the moment no one could have expected. 2 patrol cars skidded into the lot, and 4 officers jumped out. "Where are the individuals involved in the altercation?" One officer barked, striding toward the production team. A nervous producer pointed. The officers entered, their presence chilling the entire set. Even Kirk and Mendeecees, who had been shouting insults at each other across the room, paused. The lead officer approached them and asked, "Gentlemen, what happened here?" Kirk began to explain, but Mendeecees interrupted. "He put hands on me first. Check the cameras." "We have the footage. We'll review everything," the officer replied. "For now, both of you need to come with us." The room was filled with gasps. No one thought it would go this far. Even the most dramatic love and hip-hop scenes had never resulted in actual arrests. Kirk froze. Wait, you're serious?" Mendeecees looked equally shocked, his eyes scanning the room for support. "Nah, we can talk this out. I'm not going to jail for this clown." "Sir, please cooperate," the officer said firmly, signaling for backup. The sound of handcuffs clicking was surreal. Kirk Frost, a longtime reality TV figure, and Mendeecees, known for his past legal issues, were being led away in front of the cast, crew, and countless witnesses. Some crew members avoided eye contact, while others couldn't loo away. Phones were pulled out again despite producers shouting, "No filming!" But it was too late. Fans outside the set had already sensed something was wrong. A crowd had gathered near the gate, and when Kirk and Mendeecees were escorted out in handcuffs, all hell broke loose. Fans screamed. Some cried. Others shouted words of support or criticism. "Kirk, we love you." "Mendeecees, we see you better than this." Then one voice cut through the noise. "This is the end of love and hip-hop for real." Those words hit hard. The show was already under fire for blurring the line between real life and reality drama. Now, 2 of its biggest stars were being escorted into police cars. Rashida ran outside, pleading with the officers for a moment to speak to Kirk. They gave her a brief moment. "Baby, I'm going to fix this," Kirk told her, his voice cracking. "Tell the kids I love them." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Mendeecees, on the other hand, said nothing. His jaw clenched, staring straight ahead as if already bracing for what was to come. What came next would shake the entire franchise to its core. Once the arrest footage hit the internet, everything would change forever. The tension on set was palpable as Kirk and Mendeecees stood face to face, their voices escalating in anger. Every eye was on them as the heated exchange intensified, but no one anticipated what happened next. Fans watching from the sidelines had already sensed that something wasn't right. The atmosphere was thick with hostility. Kirk's face flushed with rage, his hands shaking as he pointed aggressively at Mendeecees. "You think you're the only one who's been through it, huh? You don't even know what real loyalty is." Kirk's face was red with fury, his hands shaking as he pointed aggressively at Mendeecees. "You think you're the only one who's been through this, huh? You have no idea what real loyalty is." Kirk spat, his words slicing through the noise of the crew attempting to intervene. Mendeecees, usually known for his composed demeanor, suddenly snapped. Loyalty? Kirk, you've been deceiving everyone around you, including your own family. Stop acting like you're some kind of saint. Mendeecees shot back, his voice dripping with frustration. Fans outside the set were already buzzing on social media, speculating about the cause of the fight. Some blamed Rashida, Kirk's wife, while others believed it stemmed from old grudges and unresolved issues between the two men. However, no one could have foreseen the eruption that was about to take place. As Kirk stormed toward Mendeecees, tensions reached a breaking point. "You think you can call me out like that on camera?" Kirk yelled. "You're nothing but a fraud." He pushed Mendeecees hard in the chest. The sound echoed across the set, and everyone froze, unsure of what would happen next. Mendeecees staggered back but quickly regained his balance, his anger flaring as he moved to confront Kirk. "Don't ever put your hands on me again, Kirk," Mendeecees warned, his voice low but menacing. The crew, who had initially stood back, now rushed forward to separate the two men. The situation was spiraling quickly. "We need to get security in here now," one of the production assistants whispered into a radio, but it was too late. Kirk's emotions had already reached their boiling point. Without warning, he lunged forward again. This time, Mendeecees acted first. In one swift motion, Mendeecees shoved Kirk, sending him crashing into a set prop. The collision caused a loud crash, reverberating through the set and drawing everyone's attention. Chaos erupted as the crew scrambled to contain the situation, but it was clear things were already out of control. The police were called to the set after security reported the altercation. Soon, officers arrived just as the two men continued to exchange heated words. The atmosphere was tense as the crew tried to calm both parties, but there was no stopping the storm that had been unleashed. "This is insane," one crew member muttered, watching the officers approach. "I've never seen Kirk like this before. Men's too. It's like a war zone." The officers, sensing the volatile situation, immediately began speaking to both Kirk and Mendeecees, trying to de-escalate the conflict. "What happened here?" one officer asked, his voice firm but calm. Kirk, seething with rage, pointed at Mendeecees. "This man has disrespected me for too long. He has no respect for anyone, especially not me." Mendeecees, visibly upset but trying to stay composed, responded, "Kirk's been lying about me and my family for months. He's been throwing me under the bus every chance he gets, and I'm done with it. It's time someone stood up to him." As the officers tried to mediate, it became clear both men were equally at fault in the situation. Kirk's temper, which had been building for months, finally boiled over, and Mendeecees, known for his calm nature, had reached his limit. This was no longer just a disagreement, it was personal. Emotions ran high as the two men's long-standing rivalry reached its breaking point in front of the entire crew and a stunned audience. Security attempted to calm things down, but the damage was done. Kirk and Mendeecees, once allies in the reality TV world, were now enemies. Their animosity was spilling out into the public eye. The cameras that had been focused on the scenes earlier were turned off, but the damage had already been done. The footage of the altercation would later spread on social media, igniting a frenzy among the fans and followers of the show. "Did Kirk just push Mendeecees?" one fan tweeted, while another added, "This is the craziest thing I've ever seen on Love and Hip Hop." The drama that had been building for months had finally exploded, and it was clear the fallout would be far-reaching. The production team quickly moved to wrap things up, but the mood on set had changed irreparably. The conflict between Kirk and Mendeecees had been building for a while, but no one expected it to reach such a boiling point. As the officers discussed their next steps, the tension in the air was thick. No one knew what the future held for the two men, but one thing was clear: their feud was far from over. Meanwhile, back at the production office, Rashida was receiving calls about the incident. Her face dropped when she heard the news. "What do you mean Kirk got into a fight with Mendeecees?" she asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. It was hard for her to imagine that the man she had married, the father of her children, was capable of such violence. But as the details of the altercation unfolded, she realized the situation was far more complicated than she had initially thought. Emotions ran high as she processed the shocking turn of events. Kirk, who had always been the calm and collected figure on the show, had finally lost his temper. Mendeecees, who had been under fire for his past actions, was now at the center of an even bigger storm. As the drama unfolded, fans were glued to their screens, watching the chaos unfold. Followers of the show couldn't stop discussing the incident. The hashtag number Kirk and Mendes fight quickly gained traction, with fans speculating about the cause of the dispute and what it meant for the future of love and hip-hop. Rumors spread rapidly, with some suggesting the altercation was staged for drama, while others believed it was an unscripted outburst. The truth, however, was more complex, and only time would reveal the full extent of the damage caused by the explosive confrontation. The aftermath of the fight would rock the entire love and hip-hop franchise, especially with the police involved and both Kirk and Mendeecees facing serious consequences. The future of the show seemed uncertain, but one thing was clear: the show had reached a new level of drama, and fans were eager to see what would happen next. The chaos from the altercation between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees left the entire set in shock, but the true impact was yet to unfold. As the police wrapped up their questioning, both Kirk and Mendeecees were told to calm down and step aside. However, it was clear that this incident was only the beginning of a much larger fallout. Kirk, still fuming from the exchange, couldn't believe what had just occurred. "This is all Mendeecees' fault," Kirk muttered to himself, shaking his head in disbelief. "He's the one who pushed me. He's the one who's been disrespecting me for months." Meanwhile, Mendeecees, equally furious, was trying to process what had just happened. "I can't believe Kirk actually laid his hands on me," Mendeecees thought, his mind racing. "I've always tried to stay composed, but he's been pushing me to the edge for too long. This time I'm done." The tension between them was palpable, and it was clear neither was willing to back down. As the situation continued to unfold, the production crew scrambled to make sense of the chaos. "We've never had anything like this happen on set," one of the producers whispered to a colleague. "This is bad for the show, bad for the network. They're going to want answers." The behind-the-scenes drama was just beginning. The altercation between Kirk and Mendeecees was no longer an isolated incident. It had become the focal point of the entire production, with everyone feeling the pressure. Back at the Love and Hip Hop production office, the higher-ups were having an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. "This is a PR nightmare," one of the executives said, pacing the room. "We need to figure out how to spin this. The fans are going wild, and the last thing we want is for this to become a scandal that could ruin the show." The room buzzed with murmurs as the team brainstormed how to handle the fallout. "We could say it was a misunderstanding, something that got out of hand," one executive suggested. "Or we could turn it into a storyline. Fans love drama, and this will definitely get them talking." The decision was quickly made. The network would turn the altercation into a storyline, adding fuel to the fire and keeping the drama alive. It was a risky move, but one that had the potential to keep love and hip-hop in the spotlight for weeks to come. The producers were already planning the next episode, with a dramatic confrontation between Kirk and Mendeecees at the forefront. But this wasn't just any episode. It would mark a turning point in the ongoing drama between the two men. The show had always relied on high-stakes drama to keep viewers hooked, but now it had become more than just entertainment. It was a spectacle, and the stakes had never been higher. Outside the studio, the media frenzy only intensified. Tabloids and entertainment websites were flooded with articles about the fight, each one more sensationalized than the last. "Kirk Frost and Mendeecees arrested on Love and Hip Hop set," one headline screamed. "Love and Hip Hop drama explodes. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees shocking fight," read another. Fans who had eagerly awaited the next episode were now more invested in the drama. "I can't believe Kirk did that to Mendeecees," one fan tweeted. "This is insane. I need to know what happens next." Another wrote, "Love and Hip Hop has never been this crazy. What's going to happen to Kirk and Mendeecees now?" The buzz surrounding the incident grew louder as more details emerged. It turned out that Kirk and Mendeecees had been at odds for months, with tensions finally reaching a breaking point. "This didn't just happen overnight," a source close to the situation revealed. "There's been bad blood between Kirk and Mendeecees for a while. They've been feuding behind the scenes, and this altercation was the result of all that pent-up anger." The insider also suggested that the fight was about more than just personal issues between the two men. It's about power and control within the love and hip-hop world. Mendeecees has been trying to take over Kirk's position on the show for a while now. He's been making moves behind Kirk's back, and Kirk knows it. This is more than just a fight. It's a battle for dominance. Rumors about the behind-the-scenes drama only added fuel to the fire, and fans were quick to pick sides. Some rallied behind Kirk, calling Mendeecees a traitor who was trying to take down the original cast members of Love and Hip Hop. Others sided with Mendeecees, claiming that Kirk had been nothing but a manipulative figure who had always tried to control the narrative on the show. The feud had officially taken over the public's attention. It had transformed into something beyond a simple dispute. It had turned into a full-scale battle, and the fans were fully invested in it. Meanwhile, Kirk and Mendeecees were each handling the aftermath in their own ways. Kirk, who had always taken pride in his role as the family man on the show, was now facing a major crisis. His reputation had suffered a huge blow, and he understood that he needed to do damage control if he wanted to maintain his place in the world of love and hip-hop. "I need to fix this. I can't let Mendeecees gain the upper hand," Kirk thought as he paced in his hotel room. He realized that the fight had shifted everything, and now it was up to him to decide how to proceed. Would he apologize and try to repair his relationship with Mendeecees, or would he escalate the feud even further? On the other hand, Mendeecees also felt the pressure. Even though he had gained some backing from fans, he knew the battle wasn't over. Kirk was a powerful figure in the love and hip-hop universe, and Mendeecees had just made an enemy out of one of the show's most influential stars. "This isn't finished," Mendeecees thought. "Kirk's not going to let this slide, but I'm not backing down." He knew that this altercation would define his future on the show, and he wasn't about to let Kirk dominate him. As the drama continued to unfold, one thing became clear. The future of love and hip-hop now rested on the shoulders of Kirk and Mendeecees. Their rivalry had captivated fans, and the direction of the show depended on how they handled the aftermath. Would they make amends, or would their feud rip apart the show they had both helped create? As the days went on, the tension only increased. Fans eagerly awaited the next episode, wondering what would happen next. Would Kirk and Mendeecees face off again? Would they finally resolve their issues, or would their feud reach even greater heights? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain. The drama on Love and Hip Hop was far from over. What an unbelievable turn of events, right? Kirk Frost and Mendeecees have taken their rivalry to a shocking new level, and we're all left waiting to see how it will unfold. The drama is at its peak, and we're just getting started. What do you think will happen next? Do you think Kirk and Mendeecees will ever reconcile? Or is this the end of their friendship for good? We want to hear your thoughts, so make sure to drop a comment below. If you're loving this drama, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest gossip and shocking twists in the world of love and hip-hop. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Trust us, the next chapter is even wilder. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for more jaw-dropping updates and behind-the-scenes secrets.